So Luigi Mangione, I cannot escape this man. I can't escape the eyebrows. The eyebrows are haunting me in my sleep. Every time I turn on my Instagram, my YouTube, or my Facebook, or Snapchat, Luigi Mangione is popping up. There's two things that's popping up for me: Cooking with Kaya and Luigi Mangione. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go into the deep and crazy case of Mr. Mangione. There are so many people cheering this man on right now. It is crazy. And I mean, I guess I understand. People are tired of getting fucked over for their healthcare. If you guys don't know the story, Luigi basically walks up behind Mr. Billionaire CEO and just empties it on him. And we know for a fact that he shot him multiple times because of the shell casings that were left behind. And also, he had to shoot him multiple times to get his message all the way through because it had depose, defend, and depose, defend, deny. Something of that message. He was really trying to be, Agent 47 out here. Luigi was on some James Bond shit. He had a ghost gun, which meant he probably printed the lower and the upper of the gun and just had a barrel in that shit. That's where the world is going, people. We print that shit. We don't need a manufacturer. We print our guns, okay? He was a smart guy, but I think one of the few things that I'm starting to see as motive is that United HealthCare had to have fucked him over some way, some form, some way, somehow. Because the fact that he went for the CEO of United HealthCare, yes, he's trying to send a message, but also I think he also feels a bit of sadness for himself. It's like, why me? So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and check this thing out. I mean, social media has been pushing this story like a motherfucker. So might as well I get up in here and check it out myself, right? Let's go do it. Yo, listen, this shit is trending so hard. I can't live my life without seeing this shit, and I feel like I'm letting y'all down if I don't cover it. The damn Luigi situation. How do you say his last name? Mangoni? I don't know. I will say one thing before we continue. Healthcare is so fucked up. We approve of it. That's the sentiment. That's the sentiment that I've been seeing all day. Trust me. But the one thing I will say is it's kind of weird that the man had a manifesto or whatever the fuck written down. It's like, what is this? Like a 70s serial killer show or something? Like you had your little notes written down on why you were going to kill this healthcare profession CEO guy. You had all that. It's just listen, I'm not the biggest conspiracy theorist on the planet. You know what I'm saying? But I've been maybe I've been on the internet too long. Maybe I heard Burger King tweeted we don't snitch. Let's look at that. Hold on, before we move on, let's look at the tweet. I thought that was fake. Every time I see things like that, it's almost like when OJ died. And OJ and somebody tweeted off of a fake OJ account and he was like, I did it. By the way, I did it. So I don't know if this shit is really true. I'm looking it up on my other screen right now. Santa sees you when you steal your friend's fries. Thanksgiving feast. See, we're all the way back in Thanksgiving. That shit was fake. I figured that was fake. Listen, you have to be very careful for the misinformation online, folks.
The American people and the lived experience.
My thing is, that little statement he gave, that little scream to
fatal shooting
the American people that he did, that's what makes me think he's guilty. And I know the conspiracies are that they're framing it on him, but we're gonna watch the video. I've been watching it for a while. I think he did it. Let's be real. Why he did it, I'm curious to know.
And it's completely out of touch. And it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
As the investigation into the fatal shooting of United HealthCare CEO.
Damn, just in the street, bro. Look, isn't this a person? Look at this. You look at my cursor. I'm circling it. Okay, bet. This is the CEO. in his nice ass jacket, $2,000 jacket, $1,000 shoes, and then there's a person right here too. He just didn't give a fuck. But boom.
Investigation into the fatal shooting of United HealthCare CEO Brian Thompson continues. Authorities are zeroing in on.
Look at that smile. That's that $1 billion smile right there. If anybody wants to know what a $1 billion smile looked like, behold. That's that $1 billion smile. That's that smile where you got so much money you feel uncomfortable. Like you can't even smile too good because that shit just got you uncomfortable. Like I just got too much fucking money right now. Like shit. Yep, that's that $1 billion smile right there.
Critical pieces of evidence that they say strongly implicates the suspect, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. From
Thank you,
surveillance
Claire.
footage
Shout out,
to
Claire.
a
I
forged
appreciate
ID,
you.
a 3D printed firearm, we are going to take a look at the key evidence that led to Mangione's arrest and explore how it ties.
Mangione. It's so simple now. I don't know why I never. Okay, Luigi Mangione. Is he Italian or am I just stupid?
We are going to take a look at the key evidence that led to Mangione's arrest and explore how it ties him to this deadly shooting. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Shout out Jesse Weber. Shout out Law and
The
Crime,
shocking
man.
murder of Brian Thompson, CEO of United HealthCare in Manhattan last Wednesday, just sent ripples through the corporate world, leading authorities on a cross-country manhunt. Thompson was gunned down outside of the Hilton Hotel in New York City, where he was approached from behind by a man who fired multiple shots at him before fleeing the scene. It was just absolutely shocking. And after a brief investigation, authorities identified the suspect as Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old Ivy League graduate from.
Imagine being there. And we're going to watch his speech too. We got to find the speech. We got to dig into this case because this shit's going to get crazy. His reasons, I really want to see his interview because I know they had a bunch of them already. I'm pretty sure. Or not. Maybe he got a lawyer. Well, he does have a lawyer, but maybe they just didn't do any police interview. But we got to dig into this shit because why would you do that shit? And it's a crash out mission from the start. He did that shit where there's probably like 10 people on that block while he did that shit.
Maryland. Totally unexpected. Now, as investigators piece together the evidence linking.
Yes, I think he's Italian. Sounds Italian. Okay, cool. See, I was like, Super Mario never fails me, bro. Luigi sounded Italian as fuck. No, Mangione sounded Italian as hell to me.
Mangione to the crime, or allegedly linking him to the crime. There are key details that have been emerging that paint what is a very chilling portrait of the suspect, his motives, the series of events leading up to his arrest. And what we're going to do is break down for you the key pieces of evidence that point to Mangione's alleged involvement in Thompson's death. But before we dive into the evidence, I got to catch you up to speed on the latest following Mangione's arrest.
He looks like the Francos. He looks like, not James Franco. James Franco's little brother? He looks like, he'd be looking like the Francos.
This is a rapidly developing situation. So,
what's up, Jordan?
After he was captured in Altoona, Pennsylvania, of all places, Mangione was officially charged in New York with murder, weapons possession charges, and a forgery charge. Now, I will tell you, these are just charges. He hasn't been indicted by a grand jury yet. That will happen at a later date. Now, yesterday, he appeared in court for an extradition hearing out in Pennsylvania, the idea being how and when will he be brought back to New York to face those charges. And by the way, he's already facing firearms charges and related charges in Pennsylvania. They're a way for him to actually be caught, held in custody. His bail has been denied. So he's facing charges in Pennsylvania, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But as he was being led into that courthouse by officers, he had some kind of outburst.
A reloader? Some shit.
Down.
Oh my God! That's completely out of touch. And it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Oh, okay, so he said they're completely out of touch with the intelligence of the American people. You can't be serious. What do you guys think he said?
Oh my God! That's completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people. So what? So he's trying to go with it. I will say one thing. He might be trying to go with the narrative that he's been framed. Let's do that one more time.
Oh my God! That's completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people and its lived experience.
You can't be serious?
Now, we can't make out 100% of what he said in full, particularly at the very beginning, but he appears to have uttered, "This is completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and their lived experience." Don't really know what that means.
I don't think he said that.
I will say, at that hearing, based on our reporter, Sierra Gillespie, apparently he also tried to say something in court but was shut down by his defense counsel. Bit of an odd take on that. Maybe we'll get to explore that at another time. But at that hearing, Mangione was denied bail, meaning he will remain in the Blair County jail, the prison, while awaiting extradition, though he has 14 days, or his attorney has 14 days, to file a formal opposition to extradition, and then a hearing could be scheduled on that. So he appears to be wanting to fight extradition back to New York. Meanwhile, prosecutors have exactly 1 month to seek a governor's warrant out of New York, which would expedite Mangione's return. It's believed that Governor Kathy Hochul is already working on this warrant and working with Manhattan District Attorney in order to get Mangione back there to face this murder charge. All right, so let's jump into what we know about this evidence. And to help me break all this down, I want to bring back on somebody here on Sidebar who I haven't seen in quite some time. Professor of Law at Temple University Beasley School of Law, Professor Jules Epstein. Jules, it's been a minute. I know you've been very busy. You're a very, very busy special man, but thank you for taking the time to come back here on Sidebar. We always appreciate it. Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
Calling somebody a special man is crazy work, but shut him out.
I'm honored to be here.
So real quick before we get into the evidence, if you have any just initial thoughts about the extradition issue, it seems like Mangione is going to be contesting it, or at least that's based on what his attorney has been suggesting. Where do you see that going, real quick?
I see that as slowing the train down but not stopping it. If I'm arrested in Pennsylvania, but I'm wanted in New York, New York's governor sends a document to the Pennsylvania governor saying, please send this person back. And unless the Pennsylvania governor says no, it goes to the courts. He has a technical right, and it's an important right, to challenge, is there proof that there was a crime in New York? Is there proof that I'm likely the person? But it's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not a hard standard for the...
Man, the girls are going to love this guy. You guys thought the Wade Wilson calls were insane? The ladies are going to love this one. Holy shit. There's so much pussy being thrown at this guy right now. It's absolutely crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. He's getting more women thrown at him right now than he's ever had in his life. And I know he's probably not had issues getting females before, but listen, brother, it's a whole new world right now. It is a whole new world for Mr. Luigi. My boy is in here just drowning. It's a crazy little situation though, because you get all that attention, but you can't do anything. So crazy, but I think he did it. I just want to know why he did that shit. Do you have a grandpa? You have a grandma? Did something go wrong? Like, I think he did this shit for like I don't think he's a crazy guy, is all I'm going to say. I don't think he's just some tweaker like Wade Wilson is just like some tweaker on the street doing drugs. The dude is smart. He went to school. He did his speech. You know what I'm saying? Like, something happened to where he was like, nah, fuck these people, I'm going to send a message. But, you know, a lot more information I'm sure is going to come out.
Pennsylvania prosecutor to meet.
He's had back surgery. I've heard that as well. AG's manifesto is out. Let's make a video. I'll probably make a video. Somebody send me a link of his manifesto if you have it on hand, but I'll find it.
So, absent something extraordinary, I imagine this fellow will be back in New York in the next month or two.
Okay, good. Good to know that. Okay, so now I want to jump into the evidence with you. This is what we really wanted to talk about. And I want to start by looking at what investigators obtained from and around the scene of the shooting. So after spending hours reviewing this surveillance footage, and there's probably a lot more that we haven't seen
He
yet,
needs a tattoo in the face.
investigators landed on their first critical piece of evidence in this case, and that was surveillance footage from outside the Hilton Hotel. And it shows this man wearing a winter jacket, beanie, a medical mask. And because of this footage, investigators were then able to link the shooter
You
to...
can't do nothing illegal in 2024, guys. If you're gonna kill somebody, listen, it's just know that it's a crash out mission. Just know that you're crashing out. It's fine. Like, it's cool. If you want to crash out and throw your life away, just know that you're doing that. There's no more 70s big goggle glasses with the mustache driving around killing bitches in the forest. It's not happening. It's not happening no more. It might happen way out in the country somewhere, like maybe out just super far out somewhere in the South where there's just no man's land. But for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, you live in a city, you're not getting away with that shit. So I think he's a smart enough young man to know that. So I think he knew he was crashing the fuck out. But the reason, I don't know. Again, I don't think he's a tweaker, though. I don't think he's just some crazy weirdo on the street. He had a reason for doing this shit.
more surveillance footage that was uncovered. So there's this footage from a Starbucks nearby.
Yeah, shout
the suspected shooter.
out my people from New York. Shout yourselves out. I want to know how much NYC people are in here.
Visited. This was right near the hotel, still with his mask on. But then there was a rare moment inside the hostel where the suspected shooter can be seen showing his face.
That's him.
This was
That's him.
huge. This was critical.
That's him.
This was at the
That's
hostel that he apparently checked into a few days before
That's him.
Thanksgiving. And reports say that the shooter lowered his mask.
Look at the eyebrows. The eyebrows, bro. It's the eyebrows. Sorry, bro. You should. I saw one person on social media. I can't take the credit because I didn't think about it first. I don't know her name, but she was like, you know what gave him away? It was the eyebrows. And I have to agree because ever since she said that, that's the only thing I could look at. Them eyebrows, brother. You should have got them. You see how your whole life you've had these eyebrows? You should have went to the manicure lady and you should have had her touch your shit up. You should have asked for the most feminine eyebrows that you could get. The most thin feminine eyebrows that you could find. That would have made so much of a difference. You're over there smiling with them big bushy ass. If there's a distinguishable feature on you and you're about to commit a crime, fix that feature the best you can. And I feel like he didn't do that.
Because he was interacting with or flirting with this hostile employee. That was critical, seeing his face there. And when the NYPD released the surveillance images to the public, it seems like this slip-up would end up being pivotal. And there was other footage too, like from a taxi cab and also from a bus depot. So Jules, I want to bring you on a pivotal. And there was other footage too, like from a taxi.
Is that him? No, that's somebody else. That's his roommate. That's the roommate that looks like him or who stands like him. That's not Luigi. That's his roommate. They just have the same mile long, thick eyebrows and the same eyes. That's his roommate, though. I think he was trying to be caught. You know you can't get away. And I know he's not a dumbass. Like, see, somebody like Wade Wilson would think they would get away. Somebody like Luigi, Luigi, he's too smart for that. You know you're getting caught. Where the fuck were you? New York? You know you're getting caught.
Cab and also from a bus depot.
I have a cousin from New York, and he told me he's lived there his whole life. We're like Belizean descent, but his mom is Belizean, and then she moved over to New York. You know how the whole family thing goes. Like, I don't know if anybody is a family of like Caribbean people or like immigrants and shit. You know how the story goes. Your mom went, she brought the kids, you come to the country, but then the second generation, that's all they know, right? So he's grown up in New York his entire life. He's a New York child with Belizean descent, right? He told me like the way the police stations are set up is to the way, because, you know, he's a kid. Kids be fucking around, so he be knowing shit, right? The way the police stations are, he's like 19. The way the police stations are set up in New York is to where one will basically pick up the slack of the other. There's never a dead point to where police can't respond. There's if you ran away from that station, then there's another station over there. If you went left to the right and from that station and you're leaving the vicinity of that station, there's another station down here over there. You cannot get away. And if you do get away, they're gonna find you. For sure. You're doing some shit like that in New York, you're not getting away. So this was for sure a crash out mission, in my opinion.
So, Jules, I want to bring you on this. So knowing that police were able to positively identify Mangione seemingly from this surveillance, how strong do you think that evidence is?
So until a jury gets to look at it, right, look at the visual on the video and look at his face. Sorry, there we go.
I would just tell him, smile. Smile for me. Nah, bitch, smile. Show me your teeth. Yep, that's him. That's him. That's the one. That's him. Shit, the fuck you doing, brother? What the fuck are you doing, bro? Don't be smiling with girls. Come on, Luigi.
The closer he looks to that, the better. The fuzzier those images are, the worse. But it doesn't have to be the home run in and of itself. In other words, let's suppose the face is blurry.
Uh-huh.
But it's his
No,
race.
that face wasn't fucking blurry. That's the problem. That shit was HD. I don't know what type of cab he got into, but that cab had some HD fucking cameras. That shit was lit. I aspire to have cameras in my car that's that clear. The fuck? You got caught in HD, my friend.
His height,
HD,
his
as
eye
they say.
color, all of that is
What's up,
incredibly
Nicole?
important
How you doing?
circumstantial evidence that they can
Nicole out here late, Miss Nurse. Shit.
link together with other proof later. I'm still waiting to hear, DNA results from the backpack, things like that. So incredibly important. And if they can show a continual or reasonably continual chain from video 1 to video 2 to video 3, face exposed.
One thing I'll say, face exposed but no backpack. But I will say, look at that. Boop, 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 boop. You see the hand right there? I hope you can see my cursor. Let me see. Let me see if my face is too big. No, it's not. Okay, good. He's holding his backpack, so that still insinuates it's the same person. It's the same person, okay? Fuck.
Say this is that person legally. If a jury looked and it said, damn, that's him.
Damn.
And they have the video with him shooting, that alone
See, I fuck with this guy.
can be proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
That's one of the questions why you wonder why a killing like this would happen in a metropolitan city where there's surveillance cameras everywhere. Now, I should tell you that there was this warrant, a felony arrest warrant from New York, where the detective who signed it states that the man who shot Thompson, in his belief, is the same man from the hostel, leaving and checking in based on the surveillance footage. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the McDonald's eyewitness identification based on that surveillance footage. But by the time police uncover this surveillance footage and send it out to the public, Mangione, he had already fled the scene, first by bike.
It's kind of ironic. He has like the McDonald's hash brown.
This surveillance footage and send it out to the public. Mangione, he had already fled the scene, first by bike, then by taxi, then by bus that took him out of the city. That's what investigators seem to believe at this point. And there were some items that
Shit, did I miss it? Where is it?
By the time police uncover this surveillance
What's
footage
up, Good
and send
Trouble?
it out to the public, Mangione, he had already
I appreciate you for coming out at this late moment. Thank you.
fled the scene, first by bike, then by taxi, then
Where the fuck is the hat? Okay, there it is. That looks like a McDonald's hash brown. But the one thing that's making me think otherwise is the wrap around it. I don't know if that's McDonald's for real. But if they actually got the man McDonald's after he got snitched out from McDonald's, fuck. That's a double burn right there. I'm not going to lie to you.
based on that surveillance footage. But by the time police uncover this surveillance footage and send it out to the public, Mangione, he had already fled the scene, first by bike, then by taxi, then by bus that took him out of the city. That's what investigators seem to believe at this point. And there were some items that Mangione allegedly ditched along the way. So apparently this water bottle that was purchased at a Starbucks nearby, the energy bar wrapper, a burner phone or some type of phone, and a backpack full of Monopoly money that was actually found in Central Park. But what the reporting seems to suggest, Jules, is that did very little to help police, because the reporting indicates that initial DNA and fingerprint analysis didn't turn up any matches to anyone in their databases, at least with respect to
conspiracy
the phone
theorists,
and the water bottle and the candy wrapper. So A,
What's up,
talk
Lavender?
to us about that there were no matches to their database. But B, maybe this is the more important question, now that he is in custody, can they better compare the forensics? Because I think under Pennsylvania law, they can take a swab of him while he's in custody. Maybe match it up to these other items?
Absolutely. So the DNA is incredibly powerful. DNA is only as good as who else's DNA is around to compare it to. I'm not, I think, currently in a DNA database. So when I commit my first crime, which I will never do, right, DNA is not going to be helpful until I am caught.
Okay, so basically they don't really have anything on you unless you've been doing something. Maybe. If I do something, they might catch me real quick. I'm not going to lie to you.
Once I am caught, whether you get it by a statute, by a warrant, or you just wait till I drink out of a cup and I put it down and then they grab the cup, there you have a comparison. So if they collected this stuff carefully, they didn't risk contamination by, not wearing gloves and stuff like that. They've preserved it, and then they test his DNA and it is corresponding. In other words, at the multiple loci that they are the same. It's incredibly powerful evidence.
And real quick, what would be a way defense attorneys can challenge that evidence?
So the basics of DNA science are so rock solid. It's hard to challenge that. It's sort of a meaningless challenge. Your other challenges are going to be A,
proper use
contamination. B, which I hope no one would raise unless they had a good faith basis, is a plant. Someone phonied it. C is, yeah, it's mine. I was in New York that day, but I'm not the shooter.
And also the Monopoly money found in the backpack. There are aspects of this crime when we didn't know who committed this or allegedly committed this that we thought, was this a professional hit? And then there were other aspects of it that looked very, very weird and also amateurish. What do you think?
So I've been engaged in criminal law and criminal defense, although now primarily teaching, for 45 years, 3 months, and 5 days.
Well, goddamn,
and
this
seconds,
man.
and 7 seconds, and 8 seconds.
Thereabouts.
This man lives crime. Okay, so if he tells you something, then then it's probably the truth, unless he's trying to lie to you.
Thereabouts. Come 9 o'clock this morning, it'll be complete. Even really smart people, and this person, if he's the one, certainly is well educated.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not a dumbass.
Don't do things perfectly. People slip up all the time. There's a panic. Maybe the water bottle fell out of a pocket. In other words, it's just a miss. Who knows? But I've learned not to expect perfection from people who commit crimes.
I think that's fair. I think that is a very fair assessment and consistent with what we've seen. But look, the Monopoly money is interesting because what do we also know? We know that maybe these items right now maybe don't tie so much back to Mangione yet, but they did pick up these bullet casings. And it's been reported that the bullet casings have the words deny, defend, and depose on them. And those words are very eerily similar to the 2010 book Delayed.
What the fuck? So he wanted people to find the message, deny, defend, delay, deny, defend, why insurance companies don't pay claims and what you can do about it. Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. This has to be, listen, if the CIA and the deep state is really doing this shit, they're doing a good job, because this shit seems, he wanted to leave a message, but he wanted to get away. He wanted to be like Batman. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said Robin or some shit. Robin Hood. He wants to be like Batman. Bop, bop, bop. So he shot him like 3 times. Oh my God, the message. Delay, deny, defend. Oh my God. It's happening. You know, he wanted that type of a response. And I ain't gonna lie, he pretty much got it, but I think he for sure wanted to get away, which is actually insane to think about, bro. You did that shit in New York City, my brother. Like, there's a camera every 2 feet. But shit, imagine he got away. Let's back it up.
Bullet casings have
so he edged the shit into the bullet casing. So this shit, this was a planning, and he had to shoot him 3 times at least.
The words deny, defend, and depose on them, and those words are very eerily similar to the 2010 book Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It. I mean, we're talking about the death of a CEO of one of the largest health insurance companies in the country. And, you know, it might point to a motive, maybe some sort of disagreement with the insurance companies. And we'll get to this manifesto in a minute. But the bullet casings themselves, how significant are they?
Well, first of all, they're significant because they are the casings at the scene. So they are the casings for the bullets that were fired at this person. It's just generally proof of caliber. It's proof of intent, multiple shots. We've got that from the location of the head. The words on it are significant because most bullets shells don't have words on it. So somebody was sending a message.
Yes, sir.
Not random. So that's important, again, to the argument that this is intentional and premeditated. And again, if that links to him and his manifesto, it's just icing on the cake. It just ties it all together again.
Let's talk about this. And by the way, yes, he's charged.
That's why. So he thought that the craziest thing, I keep saying, it's a crash out mission. If he wrote those things on his bullet shows, he was planning on getting away, because you could say that message while you're in jail. He wants to leave that little eerie message before he left. I gotta tell you, my brother, a brazen murder in New York City, I don't think it's gonna work out, brother. I don't think it's gonna work out. I don't think it's ever gonna work out. From 2024 forward, it's not gonna work out.
With second-degree murder in New York, which is the intention.
Luigi is refusing donations. Some people are making scam GoFundMes. Really? He's refusing donations. Okay. He's a martyr. That's what he's saying. I'm sacrificing myself for the people. This is going to be interesting, man. This is going to be, I don't know how long it's going to take for a trial to really come about, but I want to know why he did it. It had to be something to do with a relative or something to do with him. And everybody's saying he had a super botched back surgery. Maybe he was mad for himself.
Killing of another human being. So with that in mind, arguably one of the most chilling pieces of information or evidence in this case is that during the arrest, police find this, what is a 3-page handwritten document that is now being called a manifesto. And it brings me back to this idea of motive, right? And we know that you don't have to prove motive, but it's really going to be helpful to tell a story here and try to understand what happened. So in this document, Mangione appeared to express what is a deep disdain for corporate America and the health insurance industry, which he described as parasites. And we've talked about it before. We've reported on snippets of what it said. This was as confirmed by law enforcement. But just yesterday, it appears that an independent journalist by the name of Ken Klippenstein released the full text. And according to TMZ and Newsweek, law enforcement sources confirmed to them that this is the real text. So here are some of the highlights in it. First, if this is true, he starts off with an indication of who else may or may not be involved in this killing. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly.
Okay, so it's out. It's out. We're gonna have to. We need to find it.
That I wasn't working with anyone. Now, early on in the manhunt, there were all kinds of speculation that this was possibly a hitman conspiracy or that there had to be more than one person involved in this. But if this is believed to be an actual admission of the crime, then authorities know that Mangione allegedly acted solo. And then there's even something more significant in this letter, because there's the criticism of the healthcare industry, particularly United. It says, as a reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the, and it's hard to make out that word, largest company in the U.S. by market cap. The reality is these, again, can't make out the word, simply have gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit. Now, this document right here kind of offers a glimpse into a very troubling worldview, but perhaps maybe Mangione was planning something extreme here. And an internal NYPD report obtained by the New York Times revealed what the department's Intelligence and Counterterrorism Bureau thought about the letter, because, as they said, the suspect appeared to view the targeted killing of the company's highest-ranking representative as a symbolic takedown and a direct challenge to its alleged corruption and power games, asserting in his note that he is the first to face it with such brutal honesty.
He wants to start like an uproar. He wants people to rise up and start killing CEOs. That's what he wants. You know, they say some people just want to watch the world burn. I don't know. It's always the smart guy who, and I mean, I get it, bro. It's like the world's fucked up, you know? Life is fucked up. Everything's fucked up, you know? Like, shit's not fair. People are mean. People steal. People scam. So it's always like the smart guy who just it just hits him too crazy. It's like he's just thinking about too many things. So he creates like this crazy resolve. Like the only way to really bring the world back to some sort of right is to do this crazy thing. The Unabomber also had some crazy, like, he was a smart dude, crazy guy, just a smart ass explosive guy, but he had the same issue, just a smart guy, and I feel like he was just thinking too hard. Mangione was thinking a little too hard. I don't know. Let's continue.
And the report also added that the suspect likely views himself as a hero of sorts who has finally decided to act upon injustices. So, Jules, turn it over to you now. What do you make of this, and would this be admissible in court?
I don't think he was doing drugs. I doubt he was doing drugs. Probably prescription drugs for his fucking back. I'm telling you, he just made up his mind that the only way, so his way to save the world from the tyrants that are, you know, the healthcare system, all CEOs of America need to die. And that's what he locked in on. And he executed plan number 1. And he wanted to leave his big manifesto behind. And he left the bullets. And he, you know what I'm saying? Like, AJ, I just Googled and found, I think, the manifesto on Newsweek. I'll check it out. But yeah, he just was thinking a little too hard. He was thinking a little too deeply. And that's what be happening with a lot of people. And, you know, sometimes you think a little too deeply, you think super deeply, and you change the world. But then on the other end, you think super deeply, and the outcome to that is, you know, we got to kill him. And that's clearly where he came.
Think of it first is just if you start with the very first sentence, I acted alone. Forget that it excludes others. It includes him, right? Yeah. I did this thing. Or I did something. Anything a defendant said or wrote, if it can be properly proved that they said it or they wrote it, is admissible. It's admissible as what's called a statement of a party opponent. So the government simply has to prove, if they can, that it's his handwriting, or if it's typed, he possessed it, right? So presumably, if I have a note in my wallet, I wrote it. I've got notes here on my desk reminding me to do stuff.
Hey, listen, sometimes people hold on to notes all the time. Shit. If I was Mangione, I would say, listen, shit, my best friend gave me that note. 5 years ago. It has nothing to do with anything.
Words. They have to be able to show they're his words. And if he said, I didn't write it, I picked it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I picked
what
that
are you
shit
doing
up. Like,
walking?
listen, it was a drunk night, and a crackhead gave me his manifesto, and he was telling me like, this is how he sees the world, and he wanted me to have it, and I took it. I held on to it. I didn't do anything. Yeah, he's pretty fucked. He's super fucked. I don't even know what type of a defense he really has right here, to be real.
Around with this thing. First of all, no one has to believe that. But as long as they can show it came from him, it's his words, it comes in.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly, incredibly damning.
So yeah, that it is. And then we can't forget that after Mangione takes off, or allegedly takes off, 6 days go by before McDonald's incident happens. That there has been mixed reporting on this, but some
Damn, so 6 days, he really felt like he did it. And what are you doing still? You should be in Mexico by now, bro. Like, what are you doing? You should be in fucking, you should be in, like, I don't know, you should be in China, Mexico, Japan maybe. I don't know. Figure it out. You shouldn't be in the United States. You might as well killed like a government official. You killed the CEO of a United HealthCare. Bro, disappear. Mexico, but I don't think Mexico would extradite, and the police wouldn't give a fuck, so he would be fine. And that would just be the start. You could go somewhere else from there. Just don't be in the U.S. That's all I'm saying.
say an employee at the restaurant overheard
Mexico does extradite. Never mind.
Customers pointing out Mangione, talking that it might be the suspect, again, based on the surveillance footage that was released. Others say it was reported directly to an employee. A man spoke with reporters Tuesday saying he was one of the people joking about it, whether it could be the shooter inside of the McDonald's. And then when Mangione was asked if he had been to New York recently, when police show up there and ask him, they say his body language was a very visual tell because he seemed to be very quiet, they say, and then started to shake. And he didn't even really answer the question. Now, those initial impressions, Jules, I'll throw it to you. Again, potentially eyewitness identification based on that surveillance photo, and also the impressions of officers. I think both are significant, right?
Like, all I'm saying is that you killed this man and you were free for 6 days. And I don't even think they caught on to him until later on into those days. So by day 2, you mean to tell me you're still in the fucking country? Ireland does not extradite. Go to Ireland, brother. I'm just saying, you were in the country for 6 whole days. I don't understand them. I don't understand this man. So he did the impossible, because I was talking shit about you can't get away with shit like that. And he did what he did, but you're still in the country. I don't get it.
Right. So I'm not sure if anybody cares when we get to a trial that a customer thought, oh, that's the guy. That's sort of background. The officer's take on what you call the tell is what we call lay opinion testimony.
How do you
so
do
if
that?
I'm talking to you right now,
He must have. You said not street smart. I mean, it's just obvious, isn't it? He must have just really just thought. I don't know. What was he thinking? He thought he could get away and stay in the country, bro. You did some James Bond shit. You have 5 stars forever in the United States. You maybe that's just the way I feel like everybody would think that way. You come back in 30 years maybe. Everybody will have forgotten about it. Come back in 20 years. Like, this dog is over here tweaking. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it. 6 days is a long time. That's a long fucking time.
and then I asked you a question.
And it's not like they put anything on his. What I'm saying, it's not like they blocked his passport. They flagged his passport. They flagged his ID. What it's sounding like is they didn't even know really who he was at first, so they couldn't flag anything. Oh well. You know what I'm saying? Dumbass ways to get caught.
And all of a sudden you looked embarrassed or upset or freaked out. I'm allowed to say at question 12, you looked embarrassed or shaken or freaked out because normal people can draw those conclusions. So unless a judge said people can get freaked out for too many reasons, I find that ambiguous.
He really thought he was going to stay in the country.
And therefore maybe misleading.
Angel,
the
go sleep.
Body reaction, go sleep. Someone looked away, someone did this.
Doing way too much.
Is, again, potentially useful information. I don't think that there's any Fifth Amendment problem there because he didn't say, I don't want to answer. He just looked freaked. And so, again, we're always looking for how people behave. There's some stereotypes. Sometimes we take how someone behaves and it actually has nothing to do with guilt.
Sure.
In this case, it certainly seems that most judges would let this in without a hesitation.
And the fact that the witnesses, or however it went down in that McDonald's, looked at that surveillance footage or those photos and matched them up shows you how important that piece of evidence is. Now, I want to get into a few more pieces of evidence before we have to sign off, because when police apprehended Mangione, they discovered this ghost gun. And this ghost gun on him was consistent with the weapon that the shooter can be seen using in that surveillance footage from outside the Hilton Hotel.
It's crazy that you could just 3D print guns now. Fuck it. You don't want no serial number? Fuck it. Just print one. It's all good, you know? I just don't see how you did all of that and you still get caught. You still get caught. Why? Because you're still in the fucking country a week later.
This type of weapon is very unique because it's usually sold, our understanding, is in a kit that you can build yourself. It doesn't have a serial number attached to it. It's not really traceable. How significant is that, Jules? And by the way, there was a silencer as well they found.
Every piece of evidence that looks like what's on the video is incredibly significant. What the police will be doing is getting their best ballistics experts to now test fire that gun. What they do is they take new bullets, put it in the gun, shoot them into a big jar of like Jello or water, so that
I'm not no expert, but I think ghost guns, like, you could print the lower and then you could just like attach it to like an upper without a serial number. So it's like you create basically and the lower is already plastic, like a Glock, for example. The lower half of it, that's like all like, what do they call it, polymer? So I don't know what it's all plastic anyway. So you could pretty much just like print out lower parts of guns and kind of just like, they have whole documentaries on it. You could kind of just create a gun out of nowhere without any manufacturer. So it's like every gun that comes from the manufacturer, you know, they put the number so they could track it. It goes into the population. You could basically just poof. That's why I call it a ghost gun. You could just like shit out a new gun all of a sudden. But, you know, it's super illegal.
Nothing can mark the bullet other than the gun. Because when a bullet travels down the barrel,
you could 3D print a whole gun. I don't think that's the situation with him, though. There's actually a YouTube channel who 3D prints entire guns. I've seen those. But he still had to buy the barrel. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, it's not even the upper. Holy shit. So it was just the barrel. No, you need the barrel to be the barrel needs to be. So the whole idea, not yet, it's still experimental. The whole idea is that there's no serial number and there's no person that sold it to you because you created it yourself. So, you know, there's no way to track it. If he went through all those, I don't even know how he got it. He probably made it, honestly, or got one of his smart friends to make it or some shit. All you need is a barrel, pretty much. And I mean, fuck it. You could find. It's not like barrels have serial numbers or whatever on it. You could figure out a barrel. At that point, you could figure out a barrel, no problem. So it's actually kind of crazy.
Up markings.
I don't know where he got it from.
They're going to look at that under a microscope and compare it to the markings on the bullet or bullets recovered at the scene or from the.
Yeah, you could figure out a barrel.
And then they're going to say different or
you could figure that shit out.
/ same.
Right.
The reason I say similar
shit, find yourself a good welder. Or you find yourself a good, you know what I mean, shit, you can figure that shit out.
Same is within the ballistics
not welder,
community.
Whatchamacallit, the ironwork guys.
They believe that they can say
Ironsmith.
This bullet came from this gun and no other gun in the universe. Forensics, scientists,
blacksmiths,
statisticians say, whoa, we don't know that no other gun could have done that. But that debate goes on in the courtroom. The truth is, if it's the same caliber, if it's got the same general markings, whether the officer says the markings are the same, period, or the markings are the same and no other gun could have produced it, it's going to be, again, incredibly powerful evidence. The only concern the prosecutor will have is if they test fire and they have substantially or just meaningfully different markings.
Yeah, assuming it is. It's huge. It's huge because, again, they couldn't find the weapon in Central Park. They sent dive teams out there to try to find it. They couldn't find it. Now it looks like, if you assume it is what it is, it's been on him. And by the way, just the fact that he was in possession of the gun, or allegedly in possession of this weapon, is why he's facing the Pennsylvania firearm charges. That's what originally they arrested and detained him.
That's just crazy to me. One, why do you have the gun? Like, it's a ghost gun. Isn't that the point? Like, melt the bitch. Pour gasoline on it and throw the barrel in the Pennsylvania River. I don't even know if they got rivers and shit. But listen, why do you still have the gun? You're going to use the piece of plastic again? I mean, the shit's not even safe to shoot after you shot it a couple of times. Like, you got the job done. Why do you still have the shit on you? A lot of shit don't make sense. It's like he was so smart but so stupid at the same time, because it's like, listen, I'm over here sitting in my chair talking about, oh, I would have did this right. So I get it. Like, he was actually in the field doing it. So maybe things happen, but I'm just thinking, you did the job. You literally destroy the evidence. Like, you crack it into pieces, you burn it, you do whatever you do with it. And then you leave the country. But I guess his master plan was different than mine. Well, listen, I don't have any plans to do any of that ever, but just theoretically.
Him on, and he is facing those charges, but really the name of the game is the murder charge in New York. Now, that wasn't all that they found, because they also asked for his identification.
Yo, Rotten Potatoes, thank you so much. Thank you for the 2. Oh yeah, and he had fake IDs, right? Thank you, Rotten Potatoes. Like, what were you doing? You had everything in place and you didn't execute. And I'm not even rooting for him. I'm just saying, like, what was the point? You could have just used the neighborhood Glock from the hood and killed him. It wouldn't have made no difference. They still caught you. You're doing ghost guns and different IDs, and you stayed in the country and you kept the gun. Like, fuck you. Like, you could have used the gun with multiple bodies on it at that point. Who cares?
And this is another piece of key evidence that came into the fray. A fake ID. And it wasn't just any fake ID. It also happened to be, according to authorities, consistent with the ID that the man on tape had used to check into the hostel in Manhattan.
I thought it was
Now, Mangione presented this license, according to reporting, which was registered to New Jersey under the name Mark Rosario. And this helped police figure out that Mangione was, again, seemingly trying to conceal his identity. And by the way, he also had other multiple fraudulent IDs on him. So not only this New Jersey license, but others. So what do you make of that?
Well, it's got 2 independent uses. One is, as you said, it's a link. I have an ID that says Jules Epstein, and who checked into the hostel? Jules Epstein. So that's a nice 2 and 2 make 4.
Type
Separately,
shit.
when we're trying to prove A, you're a criminal, and B, this is premeditated, having the tools to help escape, the cover-up tools, are incredibly important. A single fake ID is cover-up tool number 1. Multiple is multiple, right? It's just even more powerful evidence of planning.
Now, unfortunately, I'm running out of time with Jules, but I would have asked him also about the, maybe real quick, if you got a minute answer. When they find him, he has this backpack. He has around $8,000 cash. Prosecutors actually brought this up during his extradition hearing. They said that this
$8,000 cash, man. The man had the money. I'm sure he had his passport. He had the gun. You're a fucking dumbass. I don't know if he wanted to be the martyr he wanted to be the poster child of the CEO billionaire murderers, but good job if that was the plan. Maybe he was like, you know what? I have this $8,000. I can fly pretty much anywhere because my identity isn't really flagged. I could just hop on the airport and just like leave. Nah, I'm gonna stay here for a while longer. I'm gonna stay here and go see and go talk to my parents, or maybe I'll go eat at McDonald's for one last time. Idiot. What, like, it don't make sense to me. $8,000. Get a plane ticket, you fuck. Anyways.
Shows that he was looking to evade authorities, and that bag, they say, was a Faraday bag, which I understand blocks cell signals. And Mangione,
the man had a fucking Faraday bag. No RFID, no tracking. Good job, buddy. You could have just got a JanSport. You could have just been rocking the JanSport. Listen, you could have did this shit it was so much more simpler, bro. It could have been such a sin. You could have been rocking the JanSport the whole time because you still went to jail. Guy had a whole Faraday bag on him, blocking out signals and shit. But he wanted McDonald's one more time. The McRib be bussin', right? Who said that? Raven. The McRib, he couldn't. He was like, man, listen, it's the special, bro. They don't do this. I'm not even gonna get this shit. I need one more McRib. I hope that shit was fire too. I hope they really cooked the shit out that McRib before he went to jail. Real shit. Yo, Roanne Ingram, thank you so much. Everybody shout out Roanne. I hope I said that right. I think so. Roanne Ingram, you're the shit. Shout you out, man. I appreciate you.
Mangione himself, though, he actually in court pushed back on that, saying the money had been planted in his bag and that the bag was waterproof, but it didn't show any kind of criminal sophistication. Real quick thoughts on that before we got to sign off, Jules.
First of all, he should have kept his mouth shut. Those words can only come back and bite him.
Fucking idiot.
Second of all, that's for the jury.
I wish I had a Faraday bag. I don't even commit crimes. That just sounds cool. He didn't even put his shit to use. One ticket to anywhere the fuck else from this country, please. No, just a one-way. Thank you. First class, please. I'll take my first class ass out that bitch. What? But anyways, maybe he couldn't let go of the McDonald's, bro. I'm not gonna lie. One ticket to Ireland, please. I'll go to the fields and the greenery. I heard they have like castles and shit out there. I'll go fuck around out there. I'm cool. Do they have internet? They have internet. Okay, I'm fine. We'll make it work.
Lots of money, if I recall, in more than one nation's currency, and a Faraday bag. It's not your typical waterproof bag, right?
Yeah.
He can give his excuse if he wants, and maybe his lawyer will find an advertisement.
You're funny, Kathy.
Buy these bags. They're really good waterproof bags for the next time you're out on a rainy hike in Pennsylvania forests. But it's more things that also can reasonably said to be signs of an attempted concealment.
It really is weird. It's weird. This is why the conspiracy theorists come around with their little theories and shit, because it's like, why the fuck wouldn't you leave? Oh, they planted it on him. He didn't even know. They programmed his brain. I just don't know, man. We need to hear his phone calls. All that, Now I'm over here fiending for phone calls, but You know, I just want to hear him speak for real. It sounds like he's got shit to say, too. It definitely sounds like he's got shit to say. He's a talker. So go ahead and talk, my brother. We're in the United States. Go ahead and speak.
Probably maybe nothing, but now compared with everything else, coupled with everything else we talked about, you can see how it could be problematic. I could talk to Jules Epstein for a whole other hour, but I wouldn't take his time, and he's a very important man. So Jules Epstein.
Wait, my brain. This is Mr. Epstein. You have a bizarre name. Appreciate you though, Mr. Epstein.
Thank you so much for coming on. Great seeing you.
Jules, how does it feel to have a related name? Mr. Jules, Mr. Sir, how does it feel to have the same name as Jeffrey Epstein?
Problematic. I could talk to Jules Epstein
playing.
for a
sure
whole
he's a
other
great guy.
hour, but I wouldn't take his time, and he's a very important man. So Jules Epstein, thank you so much for coming on. Great seeing you.
Great seeing you, my friend.
All right, so now as this is a rapidly developing situation,
Have you ever been
after
to
we
the
just
island,
recorded
sir?
with Jules, CNN reported that according to 2 law enforcement officials, fingerprints at the crime scene now do in fact show a positive match to Mangione. That is huge. As CNN notes, that really is the first piece of forensic evidence that links the 26-year-old to this shooting in New York. So we will keep you updated on what happens next in this case. But for right now, that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.
I really should put my shit on Spotify. I need to figure that out. Because y'all be saying you don't even watch sometimes. You just be listening. Throw that bitch on Spotify. Make some podcasts out of it.